Hi, this is Steve Hargadon, and welcome to our final keynote for the Library 2.012 conference. This is really fun for us. We do have one set of sessions that will take place after this keynote, but then our conference will be over. We want to thank our sponsors for the conference, especially San Jose State University as the founding partner. This is where you get to tell us where you're participating from. Look to the left of the map. You're looking for the star icon. Click on that icon and then click on the map. It's fun if you shout out in the chat as well. Looks like New Zealand, Australia, North America.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Wherever you're participating from, we sure are glad to have you. And if you're listening to the recording, thanks so much for taking the time to do so. Because we finished these sessions on time in order to be ready for the next set of sessions, we're going to move right ahead. Jesus, I'm going to turn the time back over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, shall I put the video on? Yes.
People would love that, yes.
Okay. We'll see if the internet one bit supported. Well, hello everyone. First of all, thanks to San Jose State University and the School of Library Information Science for inviting me to do this talk tonight. And thanks to you for taking the time to join this conference, and especially this session. Well, I'm going to start. As you can see from the first slide, the topic tonight is media and information literacy. And my goal is to convince you or to motivate you to join efforts in these two fields. We have, on the one side, information literacy that is done mainly or sprung up mainly from the library side. But we also have the media literacy that has been quite successful. There are programs at especially elementary and high school level. There are programs in Canada, the US, even in China, in some other countries. And they have been quite good in promoting media literacy and incorporating courses within the school's curricula. And I assume that most of my audience tonight, most of you are librarians. On our side, we have been working on information literacy, promoting it at the different levels, at the school, high school, junior high, and at university level. I work for a university and I have pushed this field quite strongly. However, I must say that I have ignored media literacy for quite a few years until 5 years ago when I had a meeting with some media literacy experts at UNESCO. And tonight, what I'm going to do is to talk about these four topics. Basically, what is the common ground that both fields have? And second, what are the roles that media literacy and information literacy are taking, obviously in a very brief manner. I will also talk about UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Measurement Indicators Project. And I will conclude the talk mentioning a few collaboration opportunities. And I hope that you can contribute with your experiences or questions in regard to the subject. Okay, let's start. Well, what is the common ground of media and information literacy? I think that both fields are concerned with the same goals. We're concerned about having a holistic learning in our learning communities. It can be a school, a university, or a working place. We call this holistic learning, this skills, a holistic approach. It can be called multiple literacies, transliteracies, or 21st century literacies. But all of them, whatever name they have, they need to be developed, fostered in the different education environments, and even at the family setting in the workplace. Information, as you know, is a multiple media. I myself consider that media is part of information. However, some media experts don't agree that much. They believe that they have a unique feel in some of the, and you can read that in some of the literature. But information takes different forms, different media, and you can see here these two columns. Obviously, you will notice that I sort of put together the media that belongs to, that is normally held in libraries, books, serials, theses, patents, standards, and so on. On the mass media part are grouped, TV programs, radio, films, movies, newspapers, marketing materials, and so on. But there are also other types of media like archives and museum objects. So information takes different forms, different ways to be distributed. So the process to educate or to facilitate the learning of these skills has been done separately in each subject. Here we have the different information providers, libraries, mass media, archives, information centers, and museums. And as I said at the beginning, information literacy is a field that sprang up mainly in libraries. However, the education sector is also working on this subject. They may call it with different names, with different titles, but they are doing this work, especially if the school or the institution, it's well focused on the student or on the user. There is some activity, information literacy activity in public libraries, but it is less. Special libraries, in other words, corporate libraries, are beginning to do some information literacy work. Some of them do excellent work, but it's not as popular as it is in the educational sector, school or university libraries. Information literacy has been very good in creating guidelines in different countries. Countries like the US have guidelines even at the state level, but at the national level, there is the US, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, even Mexico have national standards for higher education, and in some cases for school level. In the information literacy sector, we're concerned with intellectual freedom and freedom of access to information, and especially free access to information. These are the principles that sort of guide our work when we do information literacy. The information literacy sector, unlike media literacy, has standards. Media literacy, the different practitioners and people who work in this field, so far don't have the standards that information literacy has. So I would say information literacy in this case is going to step forward. But media literacy has been more successful, has made more progress in institutionalizing, in making, their information literacy facilitation part of the curricula. But both fields are concerned with the same core skills, in access, evaluation, and understanding, in the use of information. The subsidiary skills, I would say, they are similar, but there are some differences in the emphasis and the importance that they give to them. I'm going to move to the next slide. Both fields, media literacy and information literacy, are concerned with the role of information and the role of information skills at the social level, at work, in the well-being of citizens, people, and also in education. I would say that the information literacy activities, as I already mentioned, is not only done in the education, at educational institutions, but I would say that there are also efforts and studies and publications that have this four subject focus of people life. I'm going to move to the next slide. Both subjects, as I said, are concerned in fostering information competencies. And that's it, knowledge, skills, and attitudes to use information. And both of them are concerned with having people that are able to succeed in life, having the proper skills and competencies. People need information to survive, to thrive, and to continue to improve the quality of their lives. In other words, information is essential in our society, regardless of the kind of socioeconomic development that a country may have. We all need information, even oral societies, in order to improve decision-making in whatever people are concerned in their daily lives. So both fields share the same ground, and I would say that they also share the UNESCO principles of equal access to quality education for all. Education in most countries now covers most segments of society, but the challenge nowadays is that some of the educational systems, especially in developing countries, quality is poor. So, and now we have this quality education gap between the developed and the developing countries. So I would say that information literacy experts and media literacy experts are concerned in having quality education that includes information skills. And they're also concerned with universal access to information, with cultural and linguistic diversity that UNESCO pushes quite well, and also in freedom of expression. I'm going to move to the next slide. And at the World Summit on the Information Society, the UNESCO members and all participants in this World Summit that took place a few years ago, the goal stated at this meeting is something that puts media literacy and information literacy, in the front road, or stressing the importance of these skills, because we need citizens who are able to create, to access, utilize, and share information and knowledge. So media literacy and information literacy, that later on I will call it media and information literacy, need to enable individuals, communities, and peoples to be able to benefit and contribute to our knowledge society or information society, whatever you want to call it. If we do it, we will certainly be promoting the full potential of human beings. And we can also promote a sustainable development in the quality of life of men and women. I'll move to the next slide. Well, this is the second part, and I'll speak a little bit more on the parallel roles. In other words, on the efforts that they're doing separately. But the proposal in this talk is to make a joint effort. Well, the common ground of media and information literacy, and from now on I'm going to put it MIL, Media and Information Literacy, a concept that has been promoted by UNESCO in the last 4 years, trying to get the experts and institutions to work together towards the development and the fostering of media and information literacy skills. MIL focus on the same skills, access, evaluation, and use that I mentioned in an earlier slide. But the difference in both fields is in the focus that they do in access versus evaluation. But both subjects recognize that they focus on information, but on different objects. Media literacy, as I already mentioned, it focuses mainly on mass media products, while information focuses more on what I would call quality information, like books, journal articles, websites. However, both of them, at least in the practice and in some of the theoretical papers that have been published, do mention that they are concerned with all sorts of information or media. And something else that they share, the ground they also share, is that they mainly work in the educational sector, and there are opportunities to foster media and information literacy skills at the workplace and at the family level. I'm going to move to the next slide. And I would say that both fields share the same cycle. Both of them have a phase where media and information is created and made available, a phase where it is distributed or supplied. Some countries may be having just the supply of information, and some others may be also creating and supplying the information. For example, the US is a major movie producer, so some countries are just distributing this media. Other countries like India are also major producers, but some of the smaller ones just distribute it. Anyhow, in some way or another, this second phase is present at the national level. Also, the third phase of information reception. In the fourth, the use of media and information literacy skills. So I would say that this cycle is shared by media and information. And you can disagree later on when there is question times or comment time. I'll move to the next slide. Now, some of the differences. Media literacy has traditionally focused on three main subjects or concerns. One is to have active citizenship. The second one is public health. And the third one is aesthetics, although I would say that this third one is probably the one that has had less attention. But anyhow, it is part of media literacy concerns. Media literacy experts and practitioners are concerned with democracy, the governance model. Also, they are concerned with race, class, gender, and stereotype, how these factors are managed in mass media. They are usually concerned that the user, the reader of this information can identify this second or background message that comes with mass media. They are also concerned with marketing, for example, of tobacco, alcohol, in drugs, the way that violence is portrayed, for example, on TV programs, newspapers, and so on. They are concerned about risky behaviors that are promoted on TV, films, and marketing products, like sex. And finally, media literacy also teaches or facilitates the learning the learning. Sorry, I'm asking some of the hotel staff to be quiet because they're a bit noisy. Well, back to the subject. Media literacy is also concerned with the appreciation of the quality of mass media. For example, films, teaching people on how to appreciate art, the creativity, and also to facilitate the learning of producing these different mass media products. Okay, in summary, these are the concerns that media literacy have when they do facilitate media literacy skills. In regard to information literacy, my attention, or at least what I consider the main difference between information literacy against media literacy, is that information literacy is mainly, but not totally, but mainly focuses on information quality. We're concerned with relevant information, with the validity of the information. We're also concerned if it is reliable, if it is up to date, if it is accurate, and if it is complete. For media literacy facilitators, these quality factors are not the priority. They are also concerned, but it's not the priority. As we're also concerned with mass media, but it's not the center of our teachings. Here you have a table where I sort of summarize media and information literacy convergence, the way that they overlap or have similar concerns. You see on the left-hand side, information skills and mass media skills. On the top side, I have 3 columns, one for user, medium, and use. Information skills have as an audience not only, we have scientists, scholars, decision makers, academics, students, and we're also concerned with citizens. But at the top of our concern are the. Sorry, can you just start? Okay. Sorry, I got a bit distracted. There is a guest hotel that is coming to use the business center, so please don't get disturbed. So on the first column, we have the user, and I would say that information skills focuses mainly on an audience devoted to education and to learning. We're also concerned with recreational in reading and information use for enjoyment. But for mass media experts, they are mainly concerned with citizens' general information needs, daily information needs. In regard to the medium or the media, we have on the top scientific publications, academic information, and in the middle I put the term validated information and validated publications. At the bottom is mass media. I would say that the table tries to give you, that both fields are concerned with all the different information products, but the degree of the concern varies from one another. In regard to the use, I would say information skills tends to focus on research, decision making, learning, studying. We are also concerned with leisure, with reading for entertainment. But for mass media, it is just the opposite. They're mainly concerned in forming opinions, in decision making at the general level. Okay, so this table sort of summarizes the overlap of both fields that UNESCO and several organizations are now using the term media and information literacy, MIL. Okay, I'll move to the next slide. Here you have a slide that probably will not discuss a lot because I don't know if you can see it well, but basically it's, the communication skills constellation. I call it, constellation, meaning that is a holistic overview of communication skills, where media and information skills are part of them. At the bottom, what I would say at the foundation of the communication skills are the thinking skills, reasoning. In the next level is oral or communication. I probably should take the term oral communication, speaking and listening. At the next level are reading, writing, numeracy or math, and other basic skills. These are sort of like the foundational knowledge and skills that anyone needs to have in order to have ICT skills and media literacy. That is the fourth line, where we have digital technology use of communication tools, use of networks, and the skills to sift, to evaluate media messages, analyze media messages, in other words, media literacy, and other ICT and media skills. And I have put at the top, and maybe my media literacy colleagues may not disagree, but I believe that information literacy is at the next level, and I will not repeat this because I assume that most of you know the information literacy skills that people require in order to be able to express the information. But first, to be aware of the information needs, and to be able to satisfy the need by locating, retrieving, evaluating, using, and being able to produce information, to communicate it. And with that, the ethical part, which means, being aware of the ethical use of information and any other information skills. So I said I will spend that much to stable because it's called loaded, but I already done it, and you can see it later, with more time, and you have some suggestions. I will welcome them to modify and enrich this table. Okay, I'm going to move to the third part, which is collaboration opportunities. And I will just provide a few samples. First of all, MIL, Media Information Literacy, has to be aware that literacy acquisition and use is permeated, is influenced, and it depends on cultural factors, social, economic, and political. We cannot promote media and information literacy with the same success in all countries because it depends on these cultural factors, like education, family, religion, language, the economic system, or political system that a country may have, the workplace, the national development that the country may have achieved, and the political part, the type of government that they have, the level of democracy that it may have. So MIL can succeed depending on these cultural factors. And both of them, or MIL, as a single component, has to work wherever social factor it has promote information literacy. In other words, regardless of whatever challenges there may be, we need to adapt them to the country, into the reality we may need to work. Okay, it's 10:30. I will try to summarize so we have time for you. Well, one field of collaboration is the UNESCO project to develop an international MIL indicators kit. UNESCO aims to develop a methodology to assess media and information development at the macro level. UNESCO had four options to do it. One of them was to develop its own independent instrument, like the PISA exam that is administered by OECD. The second option that UNESCO had was to use other national assessments that are done. The PISA one that I already mentioned, in national education surveys that are done by different countries. I would say most countries have national education surveys. Some probably not very comprehensive one, but they do. Even Mexico has a national education survey for primary and secondary level education. The third option that UNESCO had was to use to create an international index using statistics from international surveys, like the one that is administered by the World Health Organization and other international bodies. And the fourth one was to rely on specific indicators related to the creation, availability, distribution, and reception and use of information. Again, using statistics from other organizations. I would like to say that UNESCO opted for the first option, to develop an independent survey. And I'm really happy that UNESCO took this decision, even though it is the most expensive and the most complex one to undertake, especially in the economic environment that is around the world. I'm going to move to the next slide, but before I move to the next slide, this is one field where librarians, information experts, information professionals, and media experts need to collaborate to create this kit so it can be used by countries. And countries will be able to tailor these indicators toolkit, or they can just adopt it as it is, depending on their conditions and desires, or wishes, sorry. Okay, I'll move to the next slide. Now, UNESCO decided to undertake the first option of creating an independent survey. The challenges are several, as you may guess. It has to be a pertinent instrument, and it has to be accurate, it has to be transparent, it has to be independent, reliable, and cost-effective. All these factors are real challenges when you create a macro indicator instrument. It has to take into consideration that the instrument has to be timely, it has to be valid, it has to take the economic, the cost of it, the consistency, the compatibility across countries, across cultures, languages, in the different levels of development, and also the frequency of the instrumentation of this toolkit, media and information literacy toolkit. I'll go to the next slide. Now, so this is one field to collaborate, and I would invite those who can help, at least at the national level, to promote this toolkit when it's released. Hopefully, it will be done within a year if UNESCO gets all the funding that is required. But so far, the conceptual part is already done. There are some documents that you can download at the UNESCO website, and I have a bibliography at the end of the presentation that you can get the URLs of these documents. One of the early documents that UNESCO created is the Media and Information Literacy Curriculum for teachers. I would like to say that the document is good, but it was done mainly by media literacy experts. So it's a bit biased, but still, I think it's a great instrument that if you are doing information literacy, you can adopt it. You can tailor it to have the balance that it needs. So this is another field to collaborate. You can use this curricula and promote it in your own country or region or community where you are. I'll move to the next slide. So, and I'm coming almost to the end. I think both experts, both professionals, we need to work as MIL professionals. We need to create awareness of our experiences and best practices. I think both fields have different experiences and different tools that we can share, that we can adopt later, or maybe we can adopt with a minimum effort. And a second action is to merge the learning facilitation of MIL, or Media and Information Literacy. If we do information literacy, do include as part of your teaching how to use mass media products. Mass media play a very important role in daily lives of citizens. Most of our daily decisions are influenced or are based on mass media. It's based on what we watch on TV, on what we see on TV, or what we see on social media. And mass media requires great skills to evaluate information, because mass media has 1, 2, or 3 messages behind. I have, for example, this photograph. I don't know if you can, maybe you cannot see it, but it's a picture of a beautiful canyon here in Chihuahua, the state where I am right now. The picture, if you see it, is a beautiful one. But this picture reflects a reality that the photographer was able to capture. But you may not be able to enjoy it because maybe he took it from a helicopter or from a special point in a mountain that we, as a normal climbers, may not be able to do it. If you see also a marketing ad, that is the picture that is at the top of a magazine, well, behind the picture, there is media manipulation. It is the light, it is the color, it is the way that people smile, or the people show their face that is giving you different messages. So I would say that media education is very important, especially at basic education levels, like elementary school, junior high, and high school. But we also need to teach it or facilitate it among citizens. And I will continue. So we need to also collaborate to lobby MIL in our different environments and communities. We also need to create a unified learning approach and to create programs where both fields are taught. We need to use technology and make this integration of information products to give a holistic media information literacy experience. I'll move to the next slide. Here are the conclusions. Well, MIL and IL have common roles and parallel grounds. And I will call them, and I would like you to adopt, at least to think about this joint concept of MIL. They share the same objectives and values. They are concerned in having information skills society. There are differences in the information literacy or in the information experience of citizens. Information, we need to look for information, for quality information. We need to find it. We need to have the skills to do the search, and the location, and the retrieval. But for mass media follows the user. It's present everywhere. So information literacy focuses on information retrieval and selecting and locating information. For mass media facilitation, this is not a concern because mass media is everywhere. It follows us. Well, the fourth, I think UNESCO MIL project initiative is great. There are 2 or 3 projects that UNESCO is working, so please visit the UNESCO website. You want to learn more. the MIL indicators package or toolkit is feasible as long as it is kept simple so that it can be used across borders, across cultures, and across languages. So, in conclusion, I hope I have motivated you to be aware that media literacy and information literacy can be a joint teaching subject wherever you do this work. Well, now I'm open for questions. There are 19 minutes left, but I promise Steve that we'll close.
So if you have a question,
5 minutes before,
you can put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand. The raise hand icon is the third one over in the participant window. That lets you let me know that you would like to take the microphone. I can give you the microphone. I'm not seeing any questions that came up during the session, but if I've missed one, please let me know. There was a concern about whether or not, there was a concern from Heather in the chat that merging of media and information literacy might not be good because media can be bought.
Yes, media can be bought, but users, people, need to have the media and information skills, regardless if it is free or bought. Information is some of the information is free, especially the one on the internet. But I would say that the matter of being bought or free is not, the issue.
There are two meanings of the word bought there, and one is that it has a cost, and the other is that it can be influenced by money. But I think you've addressed both.
It is true. Yes, media. 4 years ago, I wouldn't give a dime for media, and I recognize this as a mistake from my part. I became aware of the importance of mass media until I saw about 19 experts, and I was the only expert at the UNESCO meeting. And after being at this meeting, I realized how important is mass media, because mass media is the one that really influences people's decision on their daily lives. And this is very important. Whatever was said yesterday on Obama's and Rome's debate influences, whatever the mass media said has a role in our decision making, in our voting preferences. Maybe I'm using the wrong and not a good example. I saw here a comment. I always use PBS station for news and BBC. You are doing well, the person that is doing this comment. And unfortunately, not all citizens, well, it's good to have these options, but not all citizens do it. So it's good to teach them that how to find, how to listen, how to identify the truth.
So Stacy wanted to know if you could tell us a bit more about the history or origin of the UNESCO study.
Newspaper. Okay, originally about 6 years ago, I think, I became involved at the UNESCO Information Literacy Project. And the aim of that project was to develop information literacy indicators at the national level, in other words, at the macro level. So I work with a colleague from Australia who lives in the UK, and we developed a conceptual framework. The booklet is available on the UNESCO website, and I think it is part of the bibliography of my presentation. Let me show it. I think my colleague was Ralph Katz, and it is the first one listed here. It was 2008 when it was published. So this was the way that I got involved. We worked with the UNESCO Statistic Institute to get advice and also give them feedback to create this framework. Then we sort of moved to try to develop, the indicators. But fortunately, at that time, UNESCO officials were changed, and there were new ones. Well, some of them were newer, and fortunately, they said, "Why do we collaborate with the communication division of UNESCO that has a similar concern?" So they sort of introduced us to the communication division that is, as you guys focuses on mass media. And I was invited with someone from New Zealand to attend this meeting where there were, most of our experts were from the mass media field. And I think we tried to promote the joint effort and discovered, that we had the same goals. It was just a matter of the different of the objects. And after that, there was a third step where then UNESCO decided, okay, why do we do a media and information literacy or develop a media and information literacy approach? So UNESCO took that step. And a next document was created, and they invited 4 experts. 2 of them were from the U.S., someone from Hong Kong, and myself from Mexico. And we wrote this conceptual framework with a media and information literacy, as a compound subject. They organized an international meeting in Bangkok about 2 years ago. I think it's somewhere in my bibliography. It's the last one in the bibliography. This document was used as a discussion point, and experts, from both fields, try to agree on the methodology to develop the indicators. And there is a following phase with a methodology that should be ready in the next 2 weeks, and hopefully published, in a couple of months.
There was an earlier question about. It says, Megan wanted to know, what happens when a person's access to the different types of literacy is unbalanced? For instance,
yes,
if a person cannot read but daily uses other media, like TV or radio.
Well, I think we need both skills. My feeling, but I'm going to be biased and probably shouldn't say this, I believe that information literacy in general gives the student or the citizen the capability to evaluate information. However, it doesn't focus in the details that media literacy does, explaining people how a film is done, a video is done. When the music changes the meaning, if it is, a horror sound music, or if it is, a happy sound, media experts focus on these details. How to read a photograph, how to read a marketing sign. So I would say if someone doesn't master both subjects, this person will have an imbalanced decision making. And my concern is not only of the common citizen, the one who hasn't been able to go to university, for example, or to a higher degree or postgraduate work, where you learn to read between lines whatever marketing or corporate information product that is addressed to you.
So, did you see the question from Ingrid?
Ready for the next step.
The way you categorize...
I need to expand the questions.
I will. The way you categorize the mediating roles of media is interesting. Where would you put knowledge creation, scientific discovery, commerce, and understanding of peoples and cultures?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I would say that the first part, the knowledge creation part, I would say it falls within information literacy. In regard to the cultural part, I think media literacy does it better than we do it. They usually, are concerned by the way stereotypes are managed in terms of women and men in marketing, movies, and so on. Or
are there any final questions for Jesus? If there are, you can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand.
I think my email address is on the first slide. I can try to answer some of your questions, maybe not all, because sometimes time is limited, but I can try to address it. It is here in the first slide, jlau.ub.mx. And please go to check the bibliography. Most of the documents are free, and you can download them if you want to learn more about this UNESCO project. There are some meetings already. One that was organized in Moscow in June of this year on media and information literacy. There was another one in Morocco, another one in China. And China has promised to organize a bigger one next year on media and information literacy. So there are some efforts, even in Africa, there have been a couple of meetings discussing the merging of this.
There's a final question from Ingrid. She wants to know, are any of the MI literacy indicators operationalized?
I'm afraid not. There are media literacy indicators. There is a recent study that was finished at the beginning of the year, I think in March of April, that was sponsored by the European Union. The results are published. I don't have the URL, but it's called something like media literacy in the European Union or something like that. Anyhow, I can find the URL if someone is interested in. In regard to information literacy, there are not national information literacy indicators. There are information literacy assessments, like iSkills, that was developed in the U.S. by this company that was the TOEFL exam. I think it's ETS, I think. And there are some studies, I think there is a Nordic one. But
I think we should wrap up. Dr. Lau, I'm clapping for you.
Yes, unlike media literacy.
Using the applause button. Thank you so much. Thank you for making the time for that business center in the hotel.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Well, thank you to you. Thank you for organizing this conference. I really love the idea, and especially that it's free. And, and anyone can participate in these different time zones. And thanks to the people that joined the session. I appreciate it because I really would like to see this media and information literacy joint approach, spread in the work that we do at our institutions. And I would like to say that I'm in Chihuahua right now in northern Mexico. I live in southeastern Mexico, in Veracruz, on the Atlantic side. But I'm attending a conference here.
Thank you so very much.
To be with you.
Thanks, Dr. Lau. Thanks to you all for attending.
A great night.
I'll go ahead and turn the recording off now, and we have some sessions coming up in 5 minutes. Our last set of sessions. Thank you. Bye now.